All right, happy Wednesday, everyone. It's hard to believe that April is almost over. Only a couple more days left. Today in math, we're going to be doing some review with fractions and mixed numbers. So we are going to complete the mini lesson notes together, and then you'll work on your independent practice. And then you'll notice a third thing, and this is optional. I just thought it'd be fun. It's a spring coloring sheet based on fractions. I know there might be some rain in the forecast, so I thought I'd give you something in case you were at home being bored. If you color it, please send it to me because I would love to see it. And who knows, there may be a prize for the winner of the best coloring. I'll have Mr. Clary judge. All right, fractions. First one here. We're going to write a fraction for the shaded portion of each picture. So we have some suns. And we figure out our denominator by how many total suns we have. So I'm going to count. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 10 of them total, so that's my denominator. And out of the 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are yellow. So 6 out of 10. Now I know some of you may be saying, can we simplify that? You don't have to for this portion because you are showing me the fraction for the picture, but if you want to, I'm not going to count off by any means. All right, the hearts, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 hearts, so that's my denominator, because remember, denominator is how many total parts you have. Numerator then is the specific part we're talking about, and we are talking about the ones that are shaded red. And I see there we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them are red. So 8 out of 13, or 8/13 are red. So you'll be doing a couple of those today. Then we're going to do some multiplication to create equivalent fractions. Remember, when you are creating equivalent fractions, you can multiply the numerator and denominator by any number, but it has to be the same number. So for example, for 2/3, I'm going to start off with an easy one. I'm just going to multiply my top and bottom both by 2. I know 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 2 is 6, so I know 4/6 is equivalent to 2/3. They represent the same amount using different numbers. All right, and then 2/3, go with another one that's pretty basic. I can multiply by 5. I know 2 times 5 is 10, and 3 times 5, if I'm not sure, skip count by 5s. 5, 10, 15 gives me 15. So you're going to do some multiplication for equivalent fractions, and then you're going to do some with division. Now these are the tricky ones because you can't just pick any number you want, because 20 is not divisible by every number. For example, if I say 3, 20 divided by 3 does not give me a whole number, because if I skip count by 3, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, doesn't go to 20, it goes to 21. So this one you have to think a little carefully on. I notice I have 20 and 24 though, and they both end in an even amount. So these are both even numbers. So I'm going to divide them both by 2 because they're both even. Strategy: if you're not sure about 20 divided by 2, skip count by 2s, and you can always make tally marks like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. How many tally marks did I make? I made 10, so that means it's 10. So that's a strategy you can use if you're struggling a bit with your division. 24 divided by 2. I'm going to use the same strategy, so I'm going to go ahead and erase those. I'm going to count by 2s to see what I get to 24. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. And I notice 12 tally marks. So 24 divided by 2 is 12. So my equivalent fraction would be 10/12. Now here's where you have some options. You can go back and use this original fraction again to do an equivalent, or you can take a look at the one we just got. What do you know about 10 and 12? They're both even. So I can divide by 2 again and get another equivalent fraction. And these ones are a little easier for me. 10 divided by 2 is one of those facts that I happen to know, which is 5. 12 divided by 2 is 6, so 5/6 would also work. Okay? Another strategy, you could go back to 20 and 24 here and do a different number besides 2. For example, I know when I skip count by 4s, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, you could have used 4 as well. So you're going to have some options with this, okay? Next one, comparing. Remember, when you are comparing the fractions, the easiest way to do it is to cross multiply. So to show my work, 8/9, 2/9. Remember, we're going to do 8 times 9, which is going to give you 72. And then you're going to do 9 times 2, which is going to give you 18. What do you know about 72 and 18? Which one's greater? Which one's less? Are they equal? Well, no. 72 is greater than, so I'm going to use the greater than sign. Now, be careful on these. When I cross multiplied, notice how I circled the 8 and 9 first and wrote it above the 8. Okay? Got to be careful with your order on these. Order does matter. All right. Adding fractions with common denominators. Whenever you add fractions, the first thing you do is check out that bottom number. And since they are the same, you can add the numerators. 8 plus 2 is 10. And you always keep the denominator. So I have 10 over 9. Now remember our simplifying questions. Question number 1, we always ask ourselves, is the top bigger than the bottom? And what do we notice? Is 10 bigger than 9? Absolutely. So we should be dividing to simplify our answer. 10 divided by 9. I'm not going to use my skip count strategy because I know 10 is just 1 away from 9, so I know I can get one group. 1 times 9 is 9. Subtract. I have 1 left. Now remember, whatever you put on top, how many groups you got, that 1 is your whole number because you could get one whole group. Whatever you had left over when you subtracted, that's your new numerator. And we always keep the denominator. So our new mixed number would be 1 1/9. So you're going to be doing some adding fractions. And yes, you must simplify. If you are not simplifying, I will have you go back and redo that work. Okay, I need to make sure you are good to go with this because when you go to 5th grade next year, it's going to get a little more complicated because you're going to have fractions with unlike denominators and there's more steps involved. So we need to make sure we have this under our belts. All right, subtracting is the same way. You look at the bottom. Are they the same? Yes. So I'm going to keep that 12 for my denominator. And then the top, 10 minus 6. That's going to give me 4. Now, questions to always ask yourself when simplifying. Is the top bigger than the bottom? Is 4 bigger than 12? No. So then the next thing is, do they have a GCF besides 1? And that's where those T-charts were helping us. Some of you might know the GCF just by looking at it. But if you're not sure, use your strategy, make a T-chart. Remember, we always start with 1. 1 times what equals 4? That would be 4. What comes after 1? 2. Can you multiply 2 by something and get 4? Sure can. 2 times 2. What comes after 3? Or excuse me, 2. 3. Can you multiply 3 by something and get 4? No. And what comes after 3? 4, but it's already in our T-chart, so we know we're done. Let's look at 12. 1 times 12 gives me 12. After 1 is 2. And I know 2, if I need to check, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 6 of those will give me 12. After 2 is 3. Let's try to skip count by 3s and see if it works. 3, 6, 9, 12. Yep, 4 groups. And I know after 3 is 4. So let's look at these T-charts. They have in common, they both have 1, they both have 2, and they both have 4. Of those numbers I highlighted, which is the biggest, the greatest? Hopefully you said 4 in your brain. 4 12, so I'm going to divide both top and bottom by 4 to simplify. And remember, when we make those T-charts, the answer to our simplification is also with that GCF. So I know my answer is going to be 1/3. All right, so you're going to do some subtraction of fractions, and then you're going to do some adding mixed numbers with common denominators. So this is just like what we did with adding fractions, except now we have a whole number that we have to take into account. So we know that they both have 5, so we're going to keep the denominator. We're going to add our numerators, so 4 plus 3, 7. And then the only other thing we need to remember is we add our whole numbers. So 7 plus 2 is 9. Now you have to pay attention to that fraction, 7 over 5. Can we simplify that? So think about your questions you always have to ask. Is the top bigger than the bottom? Absolutely. 7 is bigger than 5, so I'm going to divide 7 by 5. I know I can get one group of 5 from 7. 1 times 5 is 5. Subtract. Okay, remember what I said before. How many groups you can get, so that 1 is my whole number. My remainder was 2, and that's my new numerator. I keep my denominator, so I keep that 5. The only thing you have to remember, don't forget about this whole number 9. He comes and joins the party. So you have to add 9 wholes to that. So what we are going to end up with is 1 plus 9 is 10 and 2/5. Now be careful, because you might not be done there. You have to look at 2/5. Can you divide 2 and 5 by something besides 1? Hopefully you noticed 2, the only way to get 2 is 1 and 2, right? 1 times 2. And is 5 even? If I skip count by 2s, am I going to get to 5? No, I'm going to go past it. So that is my simplified answer. All right, last one we're going to do together. Again, same common denominator, so I'm going to keep that 6. 5 minus 2, subtracting my numerators, I get 3. And 9 minus 5, I get 4. Ask your simplifying questions. Is top bigger than bottom? Nope. 3 and 6, can I divide them both by something besides 1? Do they have a GCF besides 1? So I'm going to make quick T-charts, because 3 is pretty quick, right? 1 times 3. 2 doesn't work. 3 is already there. 1 times 6, 2 times 3. I'm done. If you look at them, they both have 1 and 3, but what's the biggest number they have? That would be 3. So we're going to take that 3/6, divide the top and the bottom by 3, and we're left with 4 wholes and 1/2. All right, guys, so that's what you're going to be working on today, some fraction review. Please, 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 showing your work. Make sure you're simplifying, because if you're not doing those things, I am going to ask you to redo the work. So take your time, do it correctly the first time. If you have any questions, rewatch this video, send me an email, send me a Canvas message. I will be available if you need assistance. All right, guys, take care.